What's up folks, Mike here at Welling Watches. Welcome to the video, and today another video based on a Seiko chronograph, but this time it's not actually a Pogue. So we're going to take a quick look at the uncasing and removal of the hands and dial for this particular watch. I'm not going to show the disassembly, the reassembly and the full service because I'm currently working on videos showcasing the Seiko Pogue. So if you want to know how to disassemble the movement or reassemble the movement, you can check those videos out, the ones that are up and the ones that are yet to come. So there's no need to do the whole thing twice over. But this is the Seiko Vader. It's model 6139-7100, and it's called the Vader for fairly obvious reasons, because of the shape of the case and the black dial. Quite a popular chronograph after the Pogue. They do this black version. There's also a white dialed version which is fairly similar. I actually prefer the black dial one. And this watch actually comes with a copy of the fishbone bracelet. This one seems to be made by a company called Tech. I don't think it's too modern, it might be, but that's the fishbone bracelet. So you might be able to make out in the video the tachometer on the inside is actually in the wrong position. Now the chapter ring on the inside actually has a small cutout, and the dial has a small tab around about here that's supposed to slot into the chapter ring, and then when they both slotted in, then the chapter ring will be lined up with the dial correctly. But it's quite common to find this chapter ring isn't in that position, because the movement gets put in, the chapter ring can move around on the inside, and it often gets moved out of the way. But it's an easy problem to resolve, and we'll see that when we get into the watch. So before we get the movement out, I'm just going to set the hands to the 12 o'clock position. Now you'll notice the case on this particular movement has a slightly different lug formation because of the shape of the case. So you might find certain case tools will find you'll find it difficult to get the case back off. But like I said in the Seiko Pogue video, most of the case backs on these watches shouldn't be on so tight that you can't undo them with just a hand tool. This one is actually already fairly loose, so it's not too bad. I've not actually seen inside this watch, I don't think. So that's not looking too great. Certainly in need of a clean. So we're going to remove the stem, and as before in the other videos, there is a small hole here, and we're going to depress that setting bolt, and we can then release the stem. So I get my finger in there to hold the stem itself. There's no winding gear on this particular model because the inner chapter ring is static and it hasn't got any motion to it. Then we're going to remove the pushers and see if they're stuck in there. So you do depress each pusher in slightly just to relieve some of the pressure. Then we can try and coax this movement ring out. But it certainly seems quite wedged in there. And there's the reason why, it's sort of rusted, so that looks like that spring's broken. And that'll be something to fix later on. Gently let off the pressure of the pushers so we can take them out. Like so. And these pushers are different from the Seiko Pogue, so you can't use the same pushers in every single model because they do differ ever so slightly. They seem to be quite gummy and dirty. So again, finger on the back of the movement, turn it over and let the movement just come out there. So I'm not sure if it's really going to show on video. I'll try and get this to the lens. Just here there's a little bit of brass showing. This is originally covered in a black paint, and this is the tab that lines up with the inner chapter ring, and that's the position that needs to be lined up. So quite often this is overlooked when the movement's being put back into the watch. So just put the stem back in there. Unlike the Seiko Pogue, this movement doesn't have a metal dial retainer. It actually has just this grey plastic retainer. These are quite often broken or cracked, but they can be repaired with jeweler's cement or super glue where required, but we'll get back to that in a second. So don't know if we're going to get this on camera. I'm going to try and get this in the right light. So just in here there is a little cutout and that way you can actually turn the bezel on the inside to the correct position and then line it up as best you can with the dial, and hopefully you'll get it seated in the right position. Now this casing is actually going to go through the ultrasonic cleaner to get rid of all the dirt and the grease and the stuff that you don't want. So before that goes into the cleaner, it's important to remember with not just this watch, any watch that has a chapter ring that's trapped underneath the glass, is that you don't put the casing in the ultrasonic cleaner with the chapter ring in place, because you'll remove all of the print and any paint that is on that chapter ring, especially in an ultrasonic cleaner. So what you have to do is you have to press the glass out, remove the chapter ring, and then you can clean the casing correctly. So there's a little bit of rust present on the inside of this case that will have to be treated after the ultrasonic, but it's actually not too bad. No cosmetic work for this particular watch. Somebody's already had a go at doing that. So now we're going to reset that hand back to 12 o'clock. The movement holder. And we're going to remove the hands. Let's start with the sub-dial hand. And a little plastic box to keep the hands and dial in, to keep them safe. Just need to put my loop on so I can see the hand. Try to find the right tweezers. Where have they gone? Ah, there they are. So when you're dealing with hands on any watch, preferably you want to get yourself a pair of tweezers with polished tips. If you can't find them with polished tips, then you can always polish the tips yourself, of course. The internal edge and the external edge are both mirror polished, and that way you're less likely to scratch or damage the hands. So that's the sub hand there. Now we're going to remove the chronograph hand first. We don't remove all three hands at the same time, because then you're quite likely to damage either the chronograph hand or the pinion, or both at the same time, and then you're really going to be in a bit of trouble there. Before that, we need to just put a dial protector on. If you don't have a dial protector, don't worry, you can just use a piece of plain paper and cut out a little V. I'm going to place that over there. Now for the chronograph hand, I like to use the Presto tool, as shown in the first Pogue video, so I'm going to do that again. I'm just going to try and line this up by eye. And again, you don't want to use too much pressure. You kind of get a feel for when the hand wants to come off. That's the chronograph hand. I'm going to back the sheet off a little bit. Oh, no, it's come off completely. There we go. And now we're going to take off the hour and minute hand. They should come off without too much of a problem. Just like so. And now we're done with the dial protector and dial sheet. And we can place the hour and minute hand safely tucked away in there. So now we're just going to remove the dial, and it's the same as before with the Seiko Pogue. There is a small screw at the 5.5 position and another one around about the 11 o'clock position. So we're just going to loosen these off. Once the dial's removed, we'll actually retighten the screws so that they don't fall out during the cleaning. Just holding the stem, you can lift off the dial and the spacer. Just going to separate the dial and the spacer to see if the spacers broke. They usually are, and lo and behold, the spacer is in fact broken, just as I said. So that spacer will be repaired or replaced at some point, and that's just going to do up those dial screws. Not too tight, just enough to stop them coming out during the cleaning process. and that is the uncasing of the Vader. Much the same as the Seiko Pogue, only a slight difference in terms of the chapter ring and bezel, etc. and things like that, but much of a muchness with most of these Seiko 6139 models. So this is going to be broken down, disassembled, reassembled, etc. The casing is going to be dealt with, and that's all that. But if you want to see the disassembly of 6139, do check out the other videos on my channel. There is also going to be a more up-to-date assembly video in the near future of the 6139, but that's currently underway, so be sure to come back and check out those videos. But that's it for this little video today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment, like, subscribe, but until the next one, take care of yourselves, and see you again soon.